you have spent a lot of time in my backyard. Virtually, of course. It is a wonderful escape. It's a beautiful place. I love it when people come here because they just kind of go, my beloved Regina does a whole lot of work, much, much more than I ever do, to make it beautiful and to invite the birds and the bees around. Later, you'll see me preaching in front of coneflowers that are all her idea. But what I want to say to you today is this garden is just actually like our community. It takes preparation and thought and work. It contains innumerable delights. It is welcoming and inclusive, and it grants rest and growth as a person. Just to watch what goes on in my backyard is an education. So I want to invite you to understand those relationships between community and my backyard. And I want to ask you to please pledge to First Unitarian Universalist. If you are a member, if you are a friend, if you feel like this is your spiritual home, then we need you. It's just that simple. We need you. There are always people who are Johnny on the spot to pledge, but we're down to the last week of pledging, and we'll be driving the bus without a roadmap if you're not telling us where you are. It's easy to pledge. Go to our website, richmonduu.org. Go and press that pledge button and tell us what is comfortable for you, what day of the month you might want that taken out. Arrange to have it automatically taken out. Send us your support so that we know how it is that we're going to plant that year and what we can harvest. Everyone needs to be in, from the smallest donor to the largest. And if you are uncertain, you can always change your pledge. People do that all the time. So, we want to welcome you. We want to encourage you to pledge. We want to suggest that you set up a Vanco account with our bookkeeper who will help you do that just as you want it to be. And I want to ask you to generously support the community. Because good things don't just happen. They require hard work, love, and imagination. And they require the investment that you bring by bringing yourself and your time and your financial resources to make it happen. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a wonderful spot, just like my backyard.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond. My name is Jeanne Daniels, and I'm honored to serve on your board of directors. For those of you who may be new to us, and those of you who are tuning in from near and far, welcome. We're so grateful to be able to continue to be connected. We are a community of many faith journeys and beliefs committed to being a deliberately diverse and fully inclusive community. We want you to know that whoever you are, you belong here. I hope that we continue to be a community that is resilient, does the work that needs to be done, and commits to maintaining and establishing connections. We need each other. Thank you for being with us today. May this be a comforting, centering, and restorative time for you. If you would like to learn more about our community, you can head to our website at richmonduu.org. If you're interested in how you can further your connection and learn more about the mission of the church, please contact Margaret Rush at margaret.rush@richmonduu.org. I would also like to remind you of the announcements that precede our services weekly. Make sure you log into Zoom early to catch all of those announcements. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Be well.
Living with Pride by Lori Gorgas-Slavin.
We light our chalice flame for those who live their lives in closets of shame, for those who furtively visited the bars where nobody knew your name, for the Stonewall riot and the fierce trans women who fought, for the plague, which still takes far too many, too young, too soon. So many gone. So many never lived to see out gay kids singing on TV, out gay people serving in the military, marriage equality, families formed by intention. We light our chalice flame for all these and for all our siblings of the rainbow, surviving, living life out in the open with pride.
Good morning. Happy Pride. We are so glad you are here. Pride commemorates the resistance of a group of drag queens in the Stonewall area who finally at that bar had had enough of the police brutality that was a part of their lives. See how in these times we're sensitive to those words, and yet in 69 we didn't talk about the tendency of policing to dismember itself into something other than what the community intends. These brave folk went forward and fought and resisted arrest and gave pride to everyone who was a GLBTQ person. And we felt it and we heard about it and we took heart. As a result of that and many other instances, we were called out of our closets and into the public. And it was a daring, daring act. I can tell you it has cost me many friends. It cost me many opportunities. It cost me approval or acceptance. But I know, and I think we all know, that leading to pride has become the way in which we healed our misunderstandings of that community. Today, we're going to hear from a fabulous trans person who's going to speak with us about her experience. Danielle Jones is with us. She's in the house, and we're eager to hear her story. We're going to see some of our folk here in this congregation who stand with pride on this day and all days as members of that community. And we're going to talk. We're going to talk about the intersection of differing injustices and the common threads that are in them. And it's going to be a time where we can exhale and, for some of us, remember how it was and rejoice with pride. Good morning. Welcome to worship. However you got here, whatever buttons you pressed, how you are dressed at the moment, everything from pajamas to suits. We're so glad you came today. Welcome to a time of worship.
Enough with the chicken, enough with the egg. What came first, the hair braid or the rope, a caress or a grope, a fear or a hope? What came first, the tie or the noose, aggression or a truce, the act or the excuse? What came first, the war paint or the blush, the forest or the brush, the damning or the rush? What came first, the scythe or the sword, our thrift or the hoard, the serfs or the lord? What came first, the fortress or the home, the whisper or the tone, to nest or to roam? What came first, a gift or a theft, the right or the left, the blessed or the bereft? What came first, the needle or the blade, the effort or the grade, the heart or the spade? What came first, the song or the shout, the promise or the doubt, the blossom or the sprout? So what can we do to love and be true, to cast off all chains, to heal aching pains? Oh, what can we say to bring justice today, to lighten the load, to pave a new road? And how can we act to follow the facts, to raise up the tide, to lengthen our strides? We must speak up, we must act out, we must be true, we must chart a new route. We must speak up, we must act out, we must be true, we must chart a new route.
Will you join me now in a time of meditation, of stillness, of peace?
Let us join in a spirit of prayer. God of many names, Jehovah, Yahweh, Allah, the One, the Tao, Spirit of Life, God our Father and God our Mother, God called Love, be a vital presence in us and in the work of our community. Be present. Be with us as our community of faith, in its own way, tries to discern, to aspire to some ultimate creative good, here and in the world. Be present in our church community, as together we work to strengthen the values of all of us, the values of life and kindness and justice. Move in us as we care for and about this city, that it may more perfectly be a place for all to live and work in safety and community and neighborliness. God of many names, work through us as justice, that we may right the injustices we see around us and help those who need the help among the vulnerable. Come to our entire community as a voice of conscience and caring, a voice urging us to prevent the kind of evil that has destroyed lives and shattered families. God of many names, come to us as value and respect for diversity that is natural, and for the numerous ways by which we invoke your presence in our congregation and in our personal lives. Be present in our communities as a vision of oneness of all the human family, that all of us are moved by the force of your presence, and that all of us need the same things in order to live full lives. Help our faith community to fulfill its mission, to do its work more perfectly, to make the world and our city a better place for its presence. God of many names, come to us, be with us, move us in the ways of loving kindness, peace, and justice. In that which we share, let us see the common prayer of humanity. In that in which we differ, let us wonder at the freedom of the people. In our unity and our differences, let us know the uniqueness that is holy. Amen. Blessed be.
Danielle Jones is a member of the James River Transgender Society. She is on the Speakers Bureau for Equality Virginia, and our own Talia Hernandez has arranged for her to be with us today, and we are glad to welcome her. Danielle has 2 sons. She is a practicing Christian, and she's coming to tell us her story. Originally from Hopewell, she now resides in Chesterfield, and she's come to be with us on Pride Day to tell us her Pride story. We're so glad to have her with us. Welcome, Danielle, and she'll be speaking with us in a special coffee hour room after service. So we'll put that in the links for you, and we're going to have a Q&A session and a good conversation with Danielle. I hope you'll join us then. Welcome, Danielle.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Danielle. I am a graduate of Virginia State University with a BS in economics. I am an adopted child of 2 really great parents who spoiled me rotten, but they also instilled a sense of discipline. I am a transgendered woman. A transgendered person is someone who knows that their gender is different than what they were born as, and they decide to transition so that what is on the outside matches what they feel and know is on the inside. I was raised as male the majority of my life, but I have always felt that I was a woman. After a lot, and I mean a lot of thought, I have started my journey of transitioning from male to female. I'm not expecting you to understand what it is like to be transgender, especially if you have never met someone who is. Hopefully by the end of this, we will all have a better understanding of each other. I want to thank everyone for coming, especially Reverend Jeanne, for putting this together. This presentation will take about maybe 4 hours, because I really, really like to talk. But I'm just kidding. It should take about 10 to 15 minutes. And I will be talking about my favorite subject, me. I will also be talking about Equality Virginia and the issues that we as a community face. And the last part will be a question and answer session, which will follow service today. Before I start, I just want to make it a point to let you know that this is not a university lecture. It is just me talking about my own personal experience. So, what is my story? Well, it's a little different than most that you may have heard. I know I was different growing up, but I just couldn't figure out why. I would dream about being a woman, especially Wonder Woman. You know, the Linda Carter iconic role? She was so beautiful, and I wanted to be her. I had to dismiss the thoughts because growing up, I always was told I was male. But as I got older and started learning more about the gay and transgender communities, my mind was open to things about who I was as a person, and that my thoughts and feelings was not that weird. I did dress as a woman once for Halloween, back in college, and the thoughts that I used to have started flooding back. The feelings that I had were one of happiness, because I had always wanted to wear heels, lipstick, and nails. Although those heels were maybe a little bit smaller than they should have been, but I still enjoyed wearing them. I really felt a sense of normalcy. But I had to suppress those feelings because I thought I had to be a man and do what men were supposed to do, like getting married, having kids, and taking care of your family. I used to be so depressed and really didn't know why. I had a few relationships. I had a marriage, And once in a while, I would have thoughts of wearing my partner's clothes, shoes, and lipstick. But I would feel bad because my obligations as a man was to do right by the person I was with at that particular time. It wasn't until around 2005 that I really started looking into my feelings and emotions. I thought maybe I was a cross-dresser, dressing up like a woman and still live as a man. At the time, I thought that was okay, but I still felt this wasn't who I was. I started trying to live as a woman as much as I could and still keep it a secret. I researched everything that I could about what being transgender was all about. I read other people's stories, I watched videos, I learned about the different surgeries and hormones. I realized that I was a woman, and I weighed all my options to see if I could transition. So last summer, I decided to start my transition by getting on hormones, which would start the process of aligning my body with my mind. I want you to understand, please understand, that there is no formula for transitioning. This is just how I went about doing it. The hardest part of transitioning has not been telling my family, the public, or work, but just me overthinking every little thing that I do or did. Whether it's from backlash over using the bathroom and changing rooms at stores, thinking about, will I be killed just for being an African American transgender? Will doctors refuse to treat me? Or will my health care coverage be denied just for a doctor's visit? Will I be denied a wedding cake if I choose to get married? Will I be denied food when I'm trying to go out and eat at a restaurant? But luckily, with all those thoughts, I have a really great friend who puts up with me and helps me calm down and stay focused. So far, the most stressful thing I have done is telling my family. If my parents were still alive, I'm pretty sure that my mom, she would be okay with it. My mom was like a really, really shoe collector. And since I started transitioning, I've become a bit of a shoe shopaholic, and I think that we would have been really bonding over shopping for shoes. My father, I honestly think it would have taken him a little bit of time to accept me. But that might just be a little assumption on my part. It might not be true. I have a really close family, and I thought maybe about 50% of my aunts and uncles and cousins would be accepting. I was literally shaking and crying when I told them. It turned out to be better than I thought. Pretty much all, but maybe like 3 or 4 of my family members accepted me. One uncle has totally stopped talking to me. And one cousin who I was really close to, even though he was a Cowboys fan, has said he supported me, but has kept his distance from me, where it makes me feel isolated from him. Even with the few who are not accepting, the majority do. And that is a wonderful feeling. And it makes me appreciate the family that I have. Although my transition has been surprisingly easy, I have interacted and talked with other women who are transitioning. They tell me stories of how they have been disowned by their families, denied their medications, and access to treatments. One of my friends has talked about how she was fired from her job because she was transgender. And then, of course, I know most of you know the story, the case of Gavin Grimm, who was denied access to the men's bathroom at his school. This is one of the reasons, these are some of the reasons that I joined Equality Virginia, because they believe in a truly inclusive state. They try to connect with elected officials, the business community. They want to increase transgender visibility, strengthen our community, and create inclusive schools. They just want to make the state safe, welcoming, and an equal place for all LGBTQ and their families to live, work, and play. So as much as I can go on and on and on about me, I would really like to hear from all of you. No question is a dumb question, because you can't learn if you don't ask. So please join us after service for the question and answer portion of this presentation. I thank you for having me, and have a blessed day.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, 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 oh. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, yeah, that's what we've become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we're glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me. And I know that I deserve your love. There's nothing I'm not worthy of. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me.
It is the choice of our high school group that this month the Share the Plate be given to the ASPCA here in Richmond. All of us feel fondly about our animals. Many, probably most of us, have pets or multiple pets. And the protection of animals and the support for placing them in homes where they can be loved and appreciated is a crucial work in our humanity. Many of our members have been volunteers at the ASPCA and are supporters. But our high schoolers wanted us to make a commitment to the humanity and the anti-cruelty that the ASPCA stands for. The offering will now be taken and gratefully received. My best Pride Day was a Sunday in Portland, Oregon. I had just joined First Unitarian Church. Regina and I were participating there, and she had other duties that day, but I was invited to go march with the church for Pride. I was invited because at a table in the coffee hour, there were tie-dye shirts of all different colors. And I was asked, did I want a shirt? Could we do that? If I couldn't afford it, they would give it to me. I bought my shirt. And that Sunday after service, I threw on my shirt in the car and I headed out to the Pride route. I parked my car, I walked in, and I was a little late getting there. And when I arrived and turned the corner and saw the banner for First Unitarian Church in the Pride Parade, I was gobsmacked. I was gobsmacked by the fact that there were 200 people in tie-dye shirts. They were straight and gay, and all of them were there together in the name of our faith to march. We were the only religious body in the march. These were early times. And when we did march, people on the sidelines cheered to find a faith that believed in the rights of GLBTQ folks and advocated actively for them. I loved that Pride memory, and I loved that t-shirt, and I wore it until I couldn't wear it anymore. It was worn out. The thing that they knew at First Unitarian, and I think we know at First UU Richmond, is that there are multiple struggles joined together in the search for justice. Sometimes things seem separate. GLBTQ things are not feminist things, are not Me Too, are not immigrant rights, are not Black Lives Matter. Not true at all. All those oppressions come together and weigh us down and oppress one or another more on a given day. But while one is oppressed, all are oppressed. Therefore, let's remember on Pride, first of all, that we have these intersections that we need to be alert to. Second, it's important that we always raise our voice. You can't be proud if you won't raise your voice, unless you're a little outlandish. I got a great email from one of the members of our community who said, throw a shoulder. Be outrageous. Be a diva on Pride. Be proud. And that is what Black Lives Matter claims. That is what Me Too claims. No longer hiding, no longer silent. We are raising our voice for justice. And the uprising is involving all of those communities, the Pride community, as well as Black Lives Matter, other immigrants, young folks, women. It's a great day to see them coming together. We have to remember, too, that to be proud, we have to not just be tolerant. We have to be inclusive. We have to be welcoming. We have to ask the question, what would it take for you, anyone, but for you to feel at home here in this community? That's a question that should be on all of our lips, because whether the person is GLBTQ folk, whether they're Black, immigrant, Latinx, if they are someone who has a different level of education or income, we should be asking the question, what would make you feel welcome and at home? How can we include the wisdom of all people in this community? That's an important thing, because sometimes we have a culture that's in our heads, or aloof, or self-sufficient, or highly individual, when a person is coming looking for community. And I can tell you, of the people who have come to us in the past 5 to 10 years, community is by far the number one thing that they are seeking. To build community, to build beloved community, we really have to invite belonging. And that means that we have to understand the needs of family as well. Differing people have different definitions of family, and we should understand that and welcome family members and be inclusive for them as well and supportive of their lifestyle. Now, there are some dangers out in this world. If the mindset that dominates out there is allowed to, it will separate data, different pieces of data, from each other. It will say, oh, look, GLBTQ people are doing quite well, thank you. Gay men do very well economically. Lesbian women, less so, but they tend to stay married. They raise families. There's lots of different data. But what's not in there is the intersectionality of different identities. Black, Latinx, male and female coming together. You see, if we tracked the intersectionality of data, we would see how massive some of the problems we're dealing with are. Just take this one. We tend to think of the biggest childcare needs in terms of poverty. We think of that. And the number of children being born into poverty in this country is absurdly high. But when we track it, looking at the lens of Black Lives Matter and immigrants are welcome, when we track it from the GLBTQ perspective, we find that in fact there is all manner of intersectionality, related oppressions, related indifferences that are resident across communities. Does anyone here think that we've really figured out how to provide good care to our children before, during, and after school across the board? No. If we have it, it's because of our privilege. If we have it, it's because we can afford the expense. But all children need to be beloved. Those of us in the GLBTQ community know this, because we've heard family members talk about us abstractly, not knowing we were in the community. We've heard hate-filled speech, and we've heard it and know it and recognize that it doesn't just apply to our community, but to all oppressed communities. Now, we can overcome this. We have to put on the mindset that pride matters, Black Lives Matter, immigrant rights are important and essential. We can do all those things. We can, of course, come together, hold our witness to the common oppressions that are built into the system. Things like white supremacy in housing policy, in finance, in education, in access to jobs, in incarceration, which then precludes people participating in other benefits which help them climb that ladder of success. We need to understand that pride calls us to come out of the closet of our ignorance as much as it does to come out and witness to our beauty. So what I want to ask all of us is to take a meditation on pride this week. I want us all to think about the fact that if we were to proverbially lock arms together with communities that have been pushed to the margin, if those of us who are privileged would set aside the illusion of separateness in these injustices, if we would all come together to address the commonality of these things, it might work. It was in 1969 that the very definition of police brutality was on display in such a way that brave women rose up and said, "No more," and set off a revolution in my lifetime. When I was 12, I thought I would have to hide for the rest of my life. And here I am, your out and proud lesbian minister whom you called out and proud. How good is that? That is the very definition of community. And it is the rootedness that we need to create beloved community for everyone. May it be so. Blessed be. Thank you for being with us today. Join us in coffee hour to have a little Q&A with Danielle and others. Or go to the regular coffee hour, which you can find on your notice. We sure hope that you found something here today that was worth this time and that might lift you up this week. So be blessed. Know that as you put down roots, your branches rise and spread. You can have the pride of the way you have grown and learned and will still learn in the future. But the big pride you can have is that you have absolute inherent worth and dignity, and so does everyone else. So we'll see you here again next week. Blessed be.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are